Hello, and welcome back to the Southern Bible Thumper channel. For this upload, we will be reading Leviticus chapter 10. And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer, and put fire therein, and put incense thereon, and offered strange fire before the Lord, which he commanded them not. And there went out fire from the Lord, and devoured them, and they died before the Lord. Then Moses said unto Aaron, This is it that the Lord spake, saying, I will be sanctified in them that come nigh me, and before all the people I will be glorified. And Aaron held his peace. And Moses called Mishael and Elzaphan, the sons of Uziel, the uncle of Aaron, and said unto them, Come near, carry your brethren from before the sanctuary out of the camp. So they went near, and carried them in their coats out of the camp, as Moses had said. And Moses said unto Aaron, and unto Eleazar, and unto Ithamar his sons, Uncover not your heads, neither rend your clothes, yes, lest ye die, and lest wrath come upon all the people. But let your brethren, the whole house of Israel, bewail the burning which the Lord hath kindled. And ye shall not go out from the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die, for the anointing oil of the Lord is upon you. And they did according to the word of Moses. And the Lord spake unto Aaron, saying, Do not drink wine, nor strong drink, thou, nor thy sons with thee, when ye go into the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations. And that ye may put difference between holy and unholy, and between unclean and clean, and that ye may teach the children of Israel all the statutes which the Lord hath spoken unto them by the hand of Moses. And Moses spake unto Aaron, and unto Eleazar, and unto Ithamar, his sons that were left, Take the meat offering that remaineth of the offerings of the Lord made by fire, and eat it without leaven beside the altar, for it is most holy. And ye shall eat it in the holy place, because it is thy due, and thy son's due, of the sacrifices of the Lord made by fire. So I am commanded. And the wave breast and the heave shoulder shall ye eat in a clean place, thou, and thy sons, and thy daughters with thee. For they be thy due, and thy sons' due, which are given out of the sacrifices of peace offerings with the children of the children of Israel. The heave shoulder and the wave breast shall they bring with the offerings made by fire of the fat, to wave it for a wave offering before the Lord. And it shall be thine, and thy sons with thee, by a statute forever, as the Lord hath commanded. And Moses diligently sought the goat of the sin offering, and behold, it was burnt. And he was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, the sons of Aaron, which were left alive, saying, Wherefore have ye not eaten the sin offering in the holy place, seeing it is most holy? And God hath given it to you, to bear the iniquity of the congregation, to make atonement for them before the Lord. Behold, the blood of it was not brought in within the holy place. Ye should indeed have eaten it in the holy place as I commanded. And Aaron said unto Moses, Behold, this day have they offered their sin offering and their burnt offering before the Lord, and such things have befallen me. And if I had eaten the sin offering today, should it have been accepted in the sight of the Lord? And when Moses heard that, he was content. Summarizing Leviticus chapter 10, Aaron's sons offered strange fire. This was from burning incense without God instructing them. They used God's sacred items that were intended for making sacrifices, and they used them without God's permission. They were burned to death from fire that came from God in verse 2. Moses then explained to Aaron that this is what God meant when he said he will be sanctified and glorified by those that come near. Aaron was silent. Moses asked Aaron's cousins to remove the bodies outside of the sacred area, outside of the camp, which they did. And then God commands the Israelites through Moses in verse 6, Don't uncover your heads or tear your clothes, or you'll die, and you'll also bring wrath on the people. But you can mourn. Verse 7, Do not leave the tabernacle, or you'll die. The holy oil is still on you. And so Looking at verse 12 later, the two cousins are the one that are mentioned along with Aaron. So this is probably the people that are there, you know. But then again, the daughters are mentioned later on, so it's unclear if the daughters are there with them, but definitely Aaron and the two cousins are there, and they're not allowed to leave, at least because the whole holy oil is on them now. Verse 8, God communicates a permanent law, and the permanent law is never drink and come to the tabernacle, or now we would call it church. Don't come to church under the influence or after drinking wine. The tabernacle is a structure created for God's dwelling, and this is a lasting ordinance. And God explains, you must separate holy and unholy, clean and unclean. And God urges Moses to tell this to the Israelites, all that God commanded. So Moses then told Aaron's leftover relatives to eat the grain or meat offering and to make sure it's unleavened and to eat it in a holy place because it's especially provision for them. And he also says that the sons and daughters, Aaron's sons and daughters, are now allowed to eat the wave, breast, and shoulder offerings, which are given out at the peace offering, or they're a portion of the peace offering. This is a permanent allotment for the descendants. And so I don't want to laugh here, but every single time the portions of offerings are allotted for Aaron and his descendants, the daughters are never mentioned. It isn't until after Aaron doesn't have any more sons that now, well, the daughters can eat. So that's just something that I noticed there. In verse 16, Moses finds the goat of the sin offering was burnt up. And then he asks Aaron's relatives, why didn't they eat it? That they were supposed to eat it in the sanctuary. And he starts questioning them. In verse 19, Aaron acknowledged that what just happened was they displeased God. So he asked Moses, like, do you think it would have been acceptable to then turn around and eat this offering? And then in verse 20, Moses demonstrates, or he says he's content after hearing that. And so this chapter ends without answering Moses directly. Moses could have been pleased at this point because Aaron is demonstrating forethought and he's demonstrating sincerity. God did not ask or say anything about the sin offering. Mishandling God's sacred items caused death. God acknowledged that this was sad, and he said, you can mourn, you can have sympathy, but don't do too much. Don't uncover your head, don't rip your clothes up, or you're going to make me mad. You're going to inspire wrath. And because they were wrong, they shouldn't have been lighting things. They were given instructions on what to do with these sacred items, and they were put in this position to operate the way that God needed them to. And when they take his sacred items and they do what they want with them, the items are not being used in a holy way now. It just seems so easy, or not easy, but if you don't hold things sacred, it's easy to abuse it. And Christianity is often taken out of context, often disrespected. You know, people know they don't want to live by all these rules, which is fine, but just stop claiming God and Jesus all the time. Like, just whatever. Again, that's my opinion. And then you know what? I'm not even a perfect Christian myself, so I have a lot of nerve thinking that. So yeah, um, God commands, do not drink before going to church. Go to church sober. He said, don't drink wine or strong drink. And so, to me, I read this as go to church sober. And then the last thing I'd like to highlight once again that stuck out, Aaron's sons and daughters are permitted to eat the wave offering. And that was not always there. The daughters were never mentioned before until after Aaron has no more sons. So I appreciate you watching with me up until this point. That was Leviticus chapter 10. The next upload will be chapter 11.